I want to start with giving all praises, all honor, and all glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Chakodash. I also want to give double honors to the apostles and others, great millstone. And I want to say shalom to the hopeful like that they're pushing us forward in truth and in sincerity, striving their best to do what's right in the eyes of the Lord. And this lesson is going to be kind of a lesson that was inspired through the Spirit by one of the last lessons that I did concerning what hell is. And within that lesson, I had mentioned Babylon the Great. I mentioned Mystery Babylon that was going to be destroyed with nuclear fire. And I mentioned how it was America. And in this lesson, I'm just going to go into a couple things concerning Babylon within the scriptures showing that it is America. And I'm not speaking about the ancient Babylon, where Southern Kingdom was first taken into captivity. I'm talking about the daughter of Babylon, Mystery Babylon, like it calls it in the book of Revelations. And I wanted to start out with what Babylon means. I'll just type it in. This is Isaiah 14:4. It says, "And thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon, and say, how hath the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased." And again, I just wanted to grab this definition of Babylon. In the blue letter, it goes back to the Hebrew word babal, which goes into, as you see here, confusion. And I wanted to grab this point because this is an indicator on who Babylon is today. America is the most confused country in the world. Girls want to be boys, boys want to be girls. Girls don't know they order in the family. The food's messed up. The children's minds is messed up. People's minds in general is messed up. America also pushes forth this confusion throughout the four corners of the earth on the mass scale. America being the most influential country on the planet, mainly through its media. It's different propaganda, it's different movies, it's different music, TV shows, so on and so forth. America has a great influence on the world. And America pushes forth nothing but confusion across the four corners of the earth. Again, just being an indicator on what this Mystery Babylon the Great is that it speaks about in the book of Revelations. What the daughter of Babylon is. That it speaks about. There's one in Psalms 137 that I'm thinking of. But there's mass confusion within this place and spread forth from this place. This place its morals is all backwards. Good is set for evil and evil for good. That's why this place has to go. But I'm going to jump to this Revelations 18. And I'll start at 1. "And after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried with a strong voice, saying, Babylon, the great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean bird." And it's going into the destruction of Babylon, aka America. It said that it's going to be the habitation of devils. Right? The hold of every foul spirit and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird. Going into the desert creatures that's going to dwell here after the destruction of this place. That's why it's important to understand what Babylon is, because you can understand who this destruction is coming to. Lord will, I'll grab it later, but it also speaks about this destruction in Isaiah 13. Also in Isaiah 49, Isaiah 50, or I meant Jeremiah 49, Jeremiah 50. right? This place has a fiery judgment prepared for it, just like Sodom and Gomorrah did. Matter of fact, I'll jump to that Isaiah 13. This is Isaiah 13. What's it, 18? 19. In Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency, shall be as when the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. And you read Genesis, you can understand what took place with Sodom and Gomorrah. The Lord destroyed that place with fire and brimstone. The other cities that was with it also. And it's the same judgment that's going to take place here in America today, aka Babylon the Great. And this also shows you that it's not speaking about ancient Babylon. You can read Daniel 5 and see that the Babylonians, it was a surgical strike, how they was taken down. You can even read that in secular history. It wasn't this violent, destructive, fiery overthrow that the scriptures speak about is going to come to Mystery Babylon. Showing you is speaking of two different places. The ancient Babylon wasn't destroyed like Sodom and Gomorrah, to where there was no inhabitant left but desert creatures. The ancient Babylon today is modern day Iraq. I don't know the population of Iraq, but you can Google it and it will be in the millions. Showing you that people still dwell there. Showing you it's not just desert creatures. This is verse 20. It shall never be inhabited, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. Neither shall the Arabian pitch tent there, neither shall the shepherd make their fold there. But the wild beast of the desert shall lie there, and their houses shall be full of doleful creatures. And owls shall dwell there, and satyrs shall dance there, and the wild beasts of the islands shall cry in their desolate houses, and dragons in their pleasant places. And her time is to come. Her time is near to come, and her days shall not be prolonged. So again, this is going into the Babylon that is speaking about in the book of Revelations. It's speaking about that mystery Babylon. Again, these things didn't take place with ancient Babylon. But jumping back to this Revelations 18. This is Revelations 18 and verse 2. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon, the great is fallen, has become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. And these nations is all influenced by America. When you see somebody that's drunk, the term today will be used as under the influence. And the world is under the influence of America. The entire world is Americanized. That's why you'll see McDonald's in Chinese letters in China, or in Africa, or in all these other places. That's why you see these different nations dressing up like Americans when they conducting business in suits and ties. That's why you got these different American things spread across the four corners of the earth. These different skyscrapers. So on and so forth. There's plenty of examples. Because this Babylonian influence has been spread throughout the four corners of the earth. And these different nations have got in bed with America, going against their morals to receive benefits from America. It said that the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. These different nations, these different rulers make a great amount of money from America. That's why you look it up. You'll see that America is the #1 import country in the world because it's buying from all these different countries, making these different countries rich. Just an indicator on who this Babylon is talking about. And this place has a fiery judgment prepared for it. I'll jump to Revelation 17 and verse 18. It says, "And the woman which thou sawest," and I'll go up where it identifies this woman as Babylon. This is Revelation 17 and 4. I'll start at 3. It says, "So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness." And this is a vision that John saw. "And I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns." So I saw this woman sitting upon this red beast. Verse 4, "And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls." All right, going into this lavish lifestyle that America lives, having a golden cup in her hand full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. Again, going back to that wine. America spreading its wicked ways and philosophies throughout the 4 corners of the earth. "And upon her forehead was the name written, Mystery Babylon the Great." And it's not a mystery to us anymore. Through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, the Lord has given this secret unto his prophets, and the prophets have proclaimed it. In the book of Amos, it says the Lord will do nothing except he revealeth his secrets unto his servants, the prophets. And this is one of the mysteries or secrets that the Lord has revealed unto us through his spirit. It says, "And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth." So I just grabbed that to show that this woman in verse 18 represents Babylon or America. It says, "And the woman which thou sawest is that great city." Keep that word or term great city in mind also, "which reigneth over the kings of the earth." And I just grabbed this precept to show that this Babylon will rule over all the earth, rule over all the kings of the earth. And who rules over the kings of the earth today? America. America has the most influence in the world. America has the most power in the world. Matter of fact, I had Googled this earlier. I said into the Google AI, what nation has the most power? The United States is the most powerful nation on the earth, leading global metrics in economic size, military spending, and technological innovation. Details on top global powers like the United States show it holds a unique superpower status. A word unique going into basically not like others. America has a unique spot in the world, being at the top of all these nations and the most powerful of all these nations. No nation has power like America. Economic power, largest nominal gross domestic product or GDP globally, surpassing 27 trillion. Center of global finance, trade networks, and key international monetary institutions, home to major tech innovators and industry leaders based in hubs like Silicon Valley. You also got the United States that have control over the world reserve currency, which is the dollar. Showing you who has the most influence. Military and defense spends more on national defense than the next 9 countries combined. Maintains a massive network of international alliances and overseas military bases. And you also look up who has the most military bases spread across the world. It'd be America. showing you the reach that it has. It says possesses advanced global power projection capabilities via air, sea, and nuclear arsenals. Global influence drives worldwide cultural trends, media consumption, and language usage. Experts exerts major diplomatic influence in international bodies like the United Nations, right? Even these different so-called allied groups that they're a part of. I can't think of another way to explain it. Like NATO or the EU, or like NATO, America has the most power in these different groups and these different alliances. The most influence in these different alliances. Showing you who has the power in the world. Showing you who rules over the kings of the earth, like it speaks about again in that Revelation 17. So just grabbing a couple things concerning this great city, which is spiritually called this great city. We had just read that how it got called a great city. I also grabbed this in Revelations 11. This is Revelations 11 and 8. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of that great city. And their dead bodies is speaking of us so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, us Israelites. Before we had the Spirit enter into us, we were as dead bodies. We were in the way of we were without understanding. It says those that wander out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead, in the book of Proverbs. And that's how we was before Elder Albert Bivens came and this gospel began to be spread. We came to life after we received the words of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua and their true meaning. It says that word, scriptures speak about how that word has quickened me. That word quicken goes into made alive. So that's what took place with us. It speaks about this also in Ezekiel 37, the awakening of us out of this dead estate. But again, it says Revelations 11 and 8, and their dead bodies shall lie in the street of that great city. Right? Highlighting that great city again. Going back to Babylon, going back to America. Which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt. And why is it called Sodom? It's because of all this rainbow activity and alphabet activity that takes place here and is also spread across the four corners of the earth through the influence of this place. It says spiritually called Sodom and Egypt. And again, it says spiritually called, so it just has the attributes of these places. But it called it spiritual Sodom and Egypt, right? It called it Egypt because this is the main place of our captivity. Like ancient Egypt. Us so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. This is the place where we are oppressed together, like it speaks about in, I believe, Jeremiah 33. I'll grab this. I believe it's Exodus 2 and 20. Or 20 and 2. One of the two. This is... Now I'm going to jump to Exodus 20 and 2. This is Exodus 20 and 2. I am Yahweh, thy power, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Showing you that Egypt was a house of bondage. Right? And again, we're in spiritual, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, the Israelites, are in spiritual Egypt today, which is here in Babylon the Great, America. Right? The scriptures speak in what is called dark sayings. And through the spirit, the prophets is revealing these dark sayings, shedding light on these dark sayings. It speaks about these dark sayings in Psalm 78. But again, it's called spiritual Sodom in Egypt. But you also got on the dollar bill, you got a pyramid on it showing you that this is spiritual Egypt. You got an obelisk in Washington. And I believe there's a different obelisk in other places. But just, again, that originated from Egypt. Showing that this place is spiritually Sodom and Egypt. And it said where also our Lord was crucified. Just going into our Lord being X'd out. I'll reread the verse. This is Revelations 11:8. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of that great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified. Right? The reputation of our Lord, what he came to do, who he was X'd out. So this is what it's speaking about when you read Babylon in the scriptures, is America. And I just wanted to grab those few precepts to highlight that. And Lord's with this video is edifying. I want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Chakodash. Again, I want to give double honors to the apostles and others of Great Millstone, and say shalom to the whole elect that they push this word in truth and in sincerity, striving their best to do us right in the eyes of the Lord. Till my next one, shalom.